original graphite shafts. The strength characteristics are better. The way they compositely mold the graphite and make the graphite makes it a better golf ball.
From graphite to titanium and everything in between, this is the show you need to see before you go shopping. If you have the right equipment, but you...
In Blaine, Minnesota, we are getting set for the first ever appearance of the U.S. national soccer team here in the state of Minnesota. They're going to take on Spartak Moscow, one of the outstanding club teams in Russian soccer, and we'll do that after we pause for this regional break.
You're watching Sports Channel America, the network home of the National Hockey League. 1-900-896-2333. The Sports Channel America Sports Hotline for all the scores.
In a 3-2 overtime thriller.
For sports news.
Some big free agent signings today.
1-900-896-2333 is all you need. 24 hours a day, every day. Get late-breaking results and news on your favorite sport.
For basketball, press 1 now.
1-900-896-2333. The Sports Channel America Sports Hotline. Call today.
Every 22 seconds, another motor vehicle is stolen in the U.S. It can be just this quick. Now, you can discourage would-be car thieves by making your automobile virtually impossible to drive. Introducing the Lobo Lock. Just hook one end around your brake pedal and the other end to your steering wheel. Then just tighten and lock. Your car is now secured and cannot be driven away. Protect your valuable possession from theft with the Lobo Lock. Order now for only $29.95. If you are not completely satisfied, you may return it within 30 days for a full refund. Use your credit card for rush delivery. Here's how to order.
Credit card and COD customers call toll-free 1-800-841-0300 or save COD fees by sending $29.95 plus $6.50 shipping and handling to Lobo Lock, P.O. Box 4260, Omaha, Nebraska.
The Chicago Blackhawks, a hard-working troop with their sights set on being the best. The Boston Bruins, working hard to be the best behind the league's best defenseman, Ray Moore. Chicago versus Boston, or New Jersey versus Pittsburgh on Sports Channel America tonight. Sunday, the NASCAR Modified Tour comes to a fiery finish. Check out this race for the undisputed series champion on our exclusive coverage of the Winston Classic, live at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific on Sports Channel America, Sunday.
Welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. We're minutes away from the kickoff today between the U.S. national team and the club team from the Soviet Union, Spartak Moscow. Hello, everyone. I'm John Paul Delacamera. Alongside me is Ty Keel. Before we talk about the players, we must talk about the conditions. The temperatures are below 50 degrees here. Feels like in the 20s. It probably is because of the wind chill factor. And Ty, winds are gusting at 23 to 45 miles per hour.
It's a blustery day, and of all the game day conditions or field conditions for soccer, the most disruptive is a strong wind, and particularly for trying to build any type of coordinated passing game.
And a guy that would agree with you has to be the goalkeeper. The starting goalkeeper for the U.S. is Mark Dodd. Ty had a chance to talk to him moments ago about these wind conditions.
Yeah, I think you can look for a very interesting game. I mean, the wind is really blowing out here, and as you said, with crosses, it's going to be really dangerous for both teams.
As a goalkeeper, how do you go about maybe changing how you're going to approach it with these type of conditions?
Well, you've really got to just wait just a little bit longer and judging and deciding across particularly. And you look for the long through balls. It depends which side of the wind you're on. Certainly the team has got it's going to have a huge advantage.
That's Mark Dodd, the starting goalkeeper today for the U.S. national team. The U.S. team lost 6 consecutive games, including 3 in Italy at the World Cup, but all of a sudden they've been rolling. 4 wins, 1 loss, and a tie in their last 6. And Ty Q, they're scoring goals, averaging a couple per game.
Well, the confidence is coming along, and one of the main ingredients of this confidence is the attacking duo of Bruce Murray, who's really come into his own as an attacking player with his thunderous right-footed shot on the free kicks, and he's very strong in the air, too. Alongside him is Peter Vermees, and Peter Vermees was a starting player in the Dutch First Division last year. He's come back with a renewed confidence from that experience and is scoring a lot of goals, including a couple against Poland on October 10th.
And the U.S. will be looking for more goals today from that dynamic duo. We've got the U.S. national team in action against Spartak Moscow. We'll have the lineups and the kickoff next in Blaine.
Nothing beats number one. Nothing beats the king of thieves. Nothing beats clean, crisp, and cold. This is the best, and we got it right here. Yeah. Nothing beats the bud, yeah, nothing beats the bud, yeah, nothing beats the Budweiser. Nothing beats the bud.
From the world of international soccer comes Soccer International. North America's fastest growing full-color soccer monthly brings alive a world of great soccer action. Every month, through 70 pages of stunning photography, revealing graphics, and incisive commentary, Soccer International brings you International Spotlight, star player profiles, coaching and refereeing tips, North American Soccer Report, and more. 12 issues, only $22.95. Soccer International. Subscribe now. Call 1-800-448-3232.
Welcome back, everyone. We're at the National Sports Center here in Blaine, Minnesota. With Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul Della Camera. We are getting set for today's action, and before we do, we'll take a look at the lineups for both teams. For the U.S., you'll see some new faces: Mark Dodds in goal, Banks, Balboa, Armstrong, 19-year-old Troy Dyack in the back, Crumpy, Kinnear, Bliss, and Robin Fraser are in the midfield, and the dynamic duo that Ty Keogh spoke about at the top will start at forward, Vermees and Murray. On the opposite side, Durbanov is the goalkeeper, Gradalenko, Bushmanov, Popov, Poznatsev are the defenders, Kaprin, Parapenenko, and Ivanov, along with Zoblayev in the midfield. Shmarov is up top. And we are underway here in Blaine. It'll be played right away back to the goalkeeper, Mark Dodd. It'll be interesting, Ty, to see the distribution of Dodd and where he's going to go because of these wind conditions. Up to Murray.
This field is laid out on a north-south axis, and right now it's the United States defending the south goal. This wind is a bit of a crosswind, but it's mostly from the northwest, so they're up against it. They're going to need to keep the ball spread wide and low, especially in their own half of the field. When they get upfield, they might want to drive some balls in there to see what they do.
And you were out there before, so you know it is easier said than done.
Difficult conditions. It's the toughest conditions to play soccer under. If you're going to play in the rain, that's one thing. Even the snow, cold, heat, this is the worst. This disrupts the flow of the game the most.
Ball is played over to number 4, Popov. He'll bring it up. Murray on him. Lifted back for Popov. There's Balboa, the sweeper there. And cut off by Desmond Armstrong. Or Robin Fraser. Cut over on the right side. And Dyack will take it. We'll go 2 45-minute halves today. No overtime. If it is indeed tied, it will stand up in the books as a tie score. In other situations, they will play overtime and sometimes go on indeed to penalty kicks in international competition. Soviets playing it outside of the area. Headed away by Bliss. And then further struck forward up to Peter Vermees. Vermees became the first player to play both, first American player to play in Holland, as well as we see our first foul down there, and it's called on Robin Fraser. Soviets will bring it back now on the left wing side. Zoblayev is number 8, and a whistle sounds stopping play. Vincent Morrow, who officiated, was the referee in a World Cup game in Italy, is your referee.
Just a little obstruction call actually against the United States coming in. Robin Fraser just clips the man from behind. The referee's holding up his hand. It's an indirect kick.
Brian Bliss smacking it on the left side of the field. Soviets will take over from there. Trying to move it on the right side. Pozniakov, number 5. It is scoreless. We're in the opening couple of minutes of play from the National Sports Center here in Blaine. We're about 20 miles or so outside north of downtown Minneapolis. Soviets try this side to Popov, number 4, going against a double team.
Now the United States most likely will be hemmed into their own half of the field for quite a bit of this first half because they're very wary of these wind conditions. They don't want to get stretched out. They're going to try and stay compact, force the Soviets wide, and not be penetrated.
Bushmanov is number 3. He'll play it across to Caprin, number 6. Right side of the field, Pozniakov. And there you're going to see a little bit of what the wind can do. If a player gets underneath the ball, who knows where it's going to go.
Well, you would think that with the wind, you might try playing longer balls and play it upfield early because you have the wind at your back. But as you saw there, the ball's going to run on, so you almost can't afford to put it up in the air. You almost have to keep it down on the carpet, or it will just run out of bounds, and your forwards won't be able to catch it.
Under the circumstances, a nice boot by Mark Dodd, and a foul is going to be called. Vermes, who has played in both Holland and Hungary, and what I was trying to say before was he was the first American to play in the first divisions of either of those two countries, and Vermes, one of those players getting better with that international experience. Several USA players now, the last count 7 or 8, are playing over in Europe now. Philip Zhao, the latest to go overseas. So a lot of the U.S. players getting more experience, and it's opening up positions here now in the U.S. A player like Troy Dyack, just 19 years old, getting a chance with the U.S. team today. And he has done well, according to head coach Bob Gansler. He scored a goal, the only goal, in the 2-1 loss to a Croatian all-star team that was played last week in Zagreb, Yugoslavia.
A tough situation there for goalkeeper Mark Dodd. He did all he could do, just try and drive the ball low to get it away and out from their defending third. But if he puts it up in the air, it's going to come back in his face.
Foul is going to be called there on the U.S. and the Soviet team puts it in play. This is a Soviet club team, not their national team, as opposed to this being the USA national team. USA have played the Soviet national team in previous games. In fact, had a great game in Stanford, although they lost 3-1. That was in front of better than 61,000 fans last season. And prior to that, they played the club team Dnepr and drew better than 43,000 in Philadelphia. So the fans come out when the U.S. team plays any Soviet team. And the U.S. likes that challenge. Here's Vermes on a good move. He has Murray in front. Murray will try to flick it back. Vermes with a good run, but it was cut off. But it was nice to see Vermes and Murray clicking together. Armstrong trying to stick in there and get that ball, but it's taken back.
They clicked together so well in that Poland game, as I mentioned in Warsaw just a couple weeks ago, with Vermes coming up with 2 goals. Murray had a goal and an assist coming from one of the free kicks. It was actually Vermes who was able to put away the rebound. And there's Bob Gansler, who, when he was in Italy, almost saw the United States tie Italy in one of the World Cup matches on a similar play where Murray took a big free kick. There was a rebound. Vermes nearly put it away. It almost scored it through the Italian defense. And what a result that would have been for the United States to tie the host country in Rome's Olympic Stadium.
As it was, a 1-0 loss was quite a result. There'll be a corner kick coming up here for the Soviet team. Spartak Moscow. Shmarov plays it in. Look at the way the ball came back, and Dodd with a spectacular save. The ball was headed far post high, and it came back towards the middle, and if anything, closer towards the near post.
Just treacherous conditions, in particular for a goalkeeper. The ball's up in the air here. See the heavy swerve on the ball. The wind takes it even further. Dodd nearly gets caught out of position. It's only his great range that saved him. He was able to reach back and tip it over the bar, but now he's got to deal with the corner from the opposite side.
See what the wind is going to do on that side. If anything, the wind is picking up. It's not.
The ball won't even sit for the corner kick.
Wind is, we estimated, 23 to 45 miles per hour. Ball is headed down. We've played about 7 minutes here in the first half. The field clock, stadium clock, is apparently not working. So we'll do our best to keep track for you. Coming back, Soviets into the area, looking to cross it low, partially blocked. Balboa got a piece, and the U.S. picks up the rest. Dyack with a clear intended for Murray. That ball just hung up there in the wind. It is scoreless here in Blaine, Minnesota at the National Sports Center with Ty Keogh. I'm John Paul Della Camera. This is the U.S. national team on the clear. Jimmy Banks puts it up. Vermes can wait till next Tuesday before that one comes down.
It's really surprising to me that the Soviets, because they're known so much for how well they can strike a ball from outside. If you think back to the '86 World Cup, they scored some of the greatest goals from well outside the penalty area. Here they have this wind behind them. They've not really tested Dodd with a long-range shot. Other than the corner kick, they've not put a ball into his 6-yard area. The United States, on the other hand, if they want to get anything done, they have to be very careful that when they play the ball out, it's either on the ground or it's driven. Once the ball is up in the air more than 5 or 6 feet, the wind gets a hold of it.
The U.S. team trying to improve their ball possession time. keep possession of the ball longer, make better chances, work in their counterattack. They scored 3 goals against Poland, all 3 coming on counters. They're seeing other teams putting a lot of pressure on them. A lot of pressure on them, and if the U.S. can react to that and come up with the counterattacks, it can lead to some positive results, as it did against the Polish team.
Spartak Moscow were the '89 Soviet champions, and due to that, they are now representing the Soviet Union in the European Champions Cup. I should say the Champions Cup, which is all the league champions of Europe get together and play. So they're the representative. They had a great result just on Wednesday in Napoli against Diego Maradona and Careca, the great Brazilian star, in Napoli. They tied 0-0 in the first leg of the second round of the European Champions Cup.
Big result. The pass intended for Shmarov is cut off. The U.S. will bring it back. Another player getting a good look with this team, Robin Fraser. And now it's intercepted. Back come the Soviets with Zablayev trying to play it in, and it's broken up. Bliss got a piece. Dyak gets the rest. Dyak played just 1 year at the University of San Francisco. Came out, signed a 5-year contract with the San Francisco Bay Blackhawks of the American Professional Soccer League. He plays in that Western Conference. His team won the regular season championship this year. Coming back on the left side, they tried to play it through. It was Crumpy looking for Bruce Murray or Vermees up top. Coming back down the left side, Zablayev, number 8 for the Soviets. The Soviet team has a long history, founded in 1922. 12 times they were league champions, have won 9 domestic cups. And as all Soviet teams are, they're skilled, they are always fit, well organized, well disciplined. And you should see some of that today. Here is Vermees coming back. Has Bliss with him. Trying to run it to the inside. He was cut down, and a foul called by Vincent Morrow, the referee from the Massachusetts area. So the U.S. has a good opportunity here.
Here's a near breakthrough from the midfield. Vermees turns well, holds off a defender. He looks up now. On his left is Bliss making a run. He plays it forward into Bliss's path, and Bliss makes a nice move to the inside, but then is taken out of the play. An obvious foul, a delay tactic on the part of the Soviets. Now they can get all their defenders back because they were nearly penetrated there.
And it's a direct kick coming up. Gone about 10 minutes here in the first half of play. With Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul Della Camera, and on the restart, Murray strikes it hard off the right foot, but an easy bounce and an easy play for the Soviet goalkeeper. But the first real scoring chance for the USA. Played back to the keeper, and it was almost cut up by Vermees.
In Soviet soccer, in the early years, the Moscow teams were dominant. But then in the mid-70s, the Dynamo Kiev, one of the most beautiful soccer-playing teams in all of Europe, had so much success and started to lend more and more of their players to the national team. Now things have swung back a little bit here with Spartak Moscow being the '89 champion. But very recently, the Soviet season runs differently than most European leagues. They just finished up their '90 season because of the bad weather conditions. They finished early here, and it was actually Dynamo Kiev that won it.
Look at the bender by Kinnear, and it is punched out by the goalkeeper Durbanov. U.S. trying to maintain possession. Far side, Murray knocked up by Balboa. He was looking for Dyak, and that one sails wide. Dyak can get up there with the best of them on the U.S. national team. So a good thought, but the wind is going to make some good thoughts, maybe not such good thoughts after all. Soviets will be putting it back in play with Popov on the throw-in. There is no score. We played better than 10 minutes in the first half here at the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota, on a cold and obviously windy day here in Blaine. If you were here 24 hours ago, you would have thought that this is a different place than yesterday because it was about 70 degrees and not much of a wind factor at all. On the far side, the Soviets will get it back in the interception. Play to Caprin, number 6. Bushmanov tried to play it through and got a good break. Here's a chip shot, and it was wide, luckily for the USA, but a great chance by Imrekov, number 10. Who got past Balboa, and it was he against Mark Dodd, and Mark Dodd is glad he went wide.
That is what the United States team has to avoid at all costs. So far, they've played a poised game. They've not allowed themselves to be really a penetrating pass like that one there. He was in the heart of the U.S. defense, was able to turn and worked his way around Balboa and nearly picked out a corner.
Coming back are the Soviets. That might give them a little bit of life off a deflection intended for Shmarov, but Mark Dodd is there. You were saying before something about it, when you're passing it on the ground, you're going to have to kick it harder, maybe a more powerful pass. And on that play to Imrikov, it seemed like that's exactly what happened. Coming back, it's Vermes. Broken up again by the Soviets. Played long and well over the area. Tended to by Mark Dodd, who has done well for the U.S. national team. He has played in 3 of the last 5 games. He's won 2 and he's tied 1. He's one of those guys that's getting a break because Casey Keller, one of the U.S. goalkeepers, is in college, and Tony Meola is playing overseas.
Dodd had an outstanding performance against the MSL All-Stars in the game that was played at the St. Louis Soccer Park. He was really the difference in that game.
Played collegiately at Duke. Played forward for Murray, and that's broken up. Bruce Murray, the all-time leading scorer now for the U.S. national team with 11 goals. Looking for another one, but Bushmanov tied him up and drew a foul. Murray drew the foul on Bushmanov.
An obstruction call will be an indirect free kick for the United States. Just about 26, 27 yards out with a little bit of an angle.
But now, I think you can increase everyone's scoring range because of that wind. So kicks that are out even some 35 yards.
Well, they're shooting it now. They're shooting against it here.
This time. Here's Vermes, and that's blocked, and that one stung. Imagine getting hit with a blast with this kind of cold. Murray. Dyak almost had to run over a Soviet player. Now it's played right back to Durbanov. We still have a Soviet player down. But Vincent Morrow sees that he's not seriously hurt, so play is allowed to continue. Here's Popov, number 4, stepping by Dyak and Kinnear as he got that pass free. Zoblayev, number 8. Picked up by Kinnear. Good recovery by Dominic Kinnear, who also plays along with Dyak with San Francisco Bay. Zoblayev's touch. He'll get it back.
Now, there can be an advantage to playing against the wind, and the United States will try to exploit it. Bob Gansler mentioned to me before the game that if they can just drive it into the wind, get it behind the backs, the ball will then wait for the attacking players to run onto it, as opposed to what we saw the Soviets a couple times when they've tried to through pass. The ball has just blown itself right out of bounds.
Some 30 minutes to go here in the first half of play, unofficial time. And it is scoreless between the U.S. in blue and the Soviet team, Spartak Moscow, in red. Played over on that far side of the field. Soviets advancing. They've had a couple of good chances here. Shmarov is broken up. The U.S. quickly to Murray as Vermes tries to get free in front of 2 defenders. Vermes goes to the outside, draws 3 Soviet players. Vermes still with it in the area as he wanted to cross, now brings it back. Vermes hooks it inside, and Bliss just missed with a header, but a good idea. Here comes Dyak. Great move by Dyak to cut on the inside, sends it in low, but it's broken up. U.S. did well there with that ball possession.
They did well. Vermes in the corner. It's a shame he had to wait as long as he did for support coming from the midfield, because he had an opportunity to play a ball in earlier, but there was no one there. And then when he did serve it, it was just a little bit high.
At the top of your screen, you can see we've gone about 16 minutes. It's unofficial as it's drifted in, and Dodd had to be acrobatic. That looked like an easy play at first, but again, there'll be no easy plays today because of the wind.
Shot taken from a terrible angle, and you might even dispute whether it was a cross or a shot, but the wind certainly turned it into a shot.
Shmarov and Zoblayev trying to get free there, and it's played back to Mark Dodd. Working it up the left wing side for Crumpy. And as Crumpy brings it up,
the Soviets now testing Dodd. This was designed as a cross in my mind, and he didn't get around it well enough, and then the wind took it, and that would have gone in. And Dodd, again, he's got good range. He was able to reach back even though the ball was nearly in behind him.
There comes Balboa trying to build up a burst of speed as he approaches midfield. To Murray, right back to Balboa. Balboa settling in here as the U.S. national team sweeper. Played at the back now, and it's Durbanov in goal to Popov.
On that last save, a couple things to consider for the goalkeeper. Obviously, the ball changes directions because of the wind, but it'll also jump and dance a little bit. And the other thing is, you better get a lot behind it and knock it away, because if you don't, if you just get a little bit on it, the wind could still carry it on into the goal.
Still scoreless here in Blaine, Minnesota. Gone about 18 minutes in the first half of play. Played back to Gradalenko.
Dodd showing good range, as I've mentioned, on those saves, but agility and the timing of his jumps and his dives are so important too, and his footwork. especially when the ball is going to change directions as it does. If he doesn't have his footwork down, his range is not going to be able to save him.
Murray waits for that one. Vermees after it. Peter Vermees made a nice move, but he's broken up, and the Soviets quickly on the counter. They were setting that one up on the right side. A long shot is blocked, and it will go out of play, and Balboa could have saved a goal, certainly a goal-scoring chance.
Balboa recovered well and got into the position he needs to be. He's the sweeper. He's like the free safety back there. If the defense is broken through, he's the man that needs to cover. And there he is adjusting his sock after the slide tackle on the block. He gave up a corner kick, but it's better than a goal.
And on this corner, played up into the air, Bushmanov couldn't get it. It was headed away by Murray. Spartak Moscow taking it back. Here's Popov against Dyak. Dyak forces him outside. Good ball control. Popov with a chance to cross it. Sends it in low, and Kinnear takes that one away. But a giveaway. Bushmanov cutting it back. Long shot from Caprin is broken up. Cleared out of there. Jimmy Banks got that.
We saw Kinnear there in trying to drive the ball and not get it up too high into the wind. Actually kept it too low, or it was easily intercepted.
No chance for Popov as that one sailed well out of play. And the U.S. team will have Dyak putting it in play.
I asked Bob Gansler before the game if, because of these wind conditions, that he would contemplate any changes in his lineup or how he might play. And he said it's hard to say because they've not really seen enough of this Spartak Moscow team to make those type of adjustments.
Well, Spartak makes that mistake to Murray, but it was whistled down. And I think they want to speak to Kinnear and the Soviet player, number 8, Zoblayev. That's why. Otherwise, he would let the advantage go. Vincent Morrow wanted to get a message across, and that's why he stopped play.
And it was Kinnear who had fouled, so there was really no advantage situation.
Yep. Coming back now, the Soviets in the scoreless game. This is Imrikov. He had a great scoring chance earlier, probably the best scoring chance, but he put it wide.
It is a beautiful facility, though. Here you look at the field, good dimensions, excellent surface. It's a pretty day now that the sun has come out.
It's a gorgeous complex, not just this field, but there's 32 fields on this complex, some 92 acres, and they're hoping for better things for this facility. They're hoping to get some World Cup games here in 1994. So are about 32 other cities. Bidding is extremely competitive. Everyone putting in a bid, trying to be a World Cup site for 1994. A lot of great and exciting things are happening with professional soccer in this country. An offside called on the Soviets from Spartak Moscow. And the Soviet team, Spartak Moscow, on the left side. We take a look at their coach, Romantsov.
They've got to be used to these temperatures anyway.
I would think.
And the wind that blows in the Soviet Union, in Moscow in particular, it being in the north.
Ball is sent long towards Murray and Vermees. Cut off by Kinnear. Settled down by Spartak Moscow. Right in the middle. Blocked by Bliss, but right on to Caprin. Caprin has Shmarov breaking on the left side, but Balboa helps out with good communication with he and Mark Dodd. They make the play easily.
The Soviet Union's national team goalkeeper, Desaev, started his career with the Spartak Moscow club, and he's considered one of the top goalkeepers in the world, as they have a couple other Soviet goalkeepers, including Lev Yassin, one of the all-time great goalkeepers in the world.
Spartak Moscow will get it back. They can play it back to Durbanov, and that's what they do. In the scoreless game here in Blaine, Minnesota, with Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul De La Camera. This is Zoblayev, number 8. Giving it up at the back to Popov. The U.S. team has had a couple of chances off of free kicks, off of restarts. Spartak Moscow with Imrikov having the best chance, but they've had others with that wind, and Dodd's had to change and make some spectacular reflex actions to stop it. Here comes Kinnear off a Murray pass. Dominic Kinnear cuts it back. Still has possession. Now joined by Dyak, his APSL teammate. Dyak on a good run to the end line. Try to play it across for Vermees. Headed right back by Robin Fraser. And then right back to the goalkeeper.
The Soviets have had some territorial dominance, which is to be expected because of the wind. But the United States, when they have attacked, have attacked with purpose and have looked dangerous. They've not had as many total attacks, but they've been just as dangerous in the total sum of it.
Set up long by Bushmanoff. Headed down well by Banks to Balboa. Balboa got clipped badly, and an obvious foul there called against the Soviets as Balboa gets more comfortable with that sweeper's position. He played collegiately at San Diego State, has played for several different U.S. national teams. No score. Still in the first half of play. Spartak Moscow in the red and the USA national team in blue. Played up for Murray to Bliss. Quickly he'll try for Vermees, but it's headed away. Gradilenko got a touch on that. Number 7 is Harapadenko. Now it's Fraser playing it right back to Dodd. Fraser played collegiately at Florida International. Headed down to Vermees. Now Crumpy. Brian Bliss to Murray. Murray tried to play it through. Here's Bliss with a good run. Brian Bliss now as the Soviets come back en masse. All the way across from Murray. Dyak has a long run for it. And the Soviets just flip it out of play. There'll be a throw-in. There'll be a throw-in coming up. We are still scoreless here at the National Sports Center in Blaine.
Nothing beats the USA. Nothing beats what we've got here. Nothing beats clean, crisp, cold. Nothing beats the king of beer. Yeah, nothing beats the bird, yeah, nothing. Nothing beats the bird, yeah, nothing. Nothing beats the Budweiser. Nothing beats the bird.
Welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center here in Blaine, Minnesota. With Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul Della Camera. We're glad you could be with us today watching the U.S. national team in this game against Spartak Moscow. 0-0. If you're just joining us, they told us the temperatures were about 49 at kickoff. With the wind chill, it's got to be in the 20s, and the winds are upwards of 23 to 45 miles per hour. And you can tell by the way that ball is moving around there that it's obviously a problem, although the players have adjusted as well as they can.
Well, the referee came out about 45 minutes before kickoff to test the conditions. They put a ball in the center spot and see if the ball will stand still there on the ground level, then it's time to play.
Coming back now on the right side, Bushmanoff. Now up the middle, and he's broken up. Taken back by Caprin, and it's headed back by the U.S. You've played in a lot of games, Ty, with both the national team and other teams. Have you played in windier or worse air conditions than this?
Played a couple,
you remember?
A couple college ball games that were as bad as this. And for a midfielder, it's a bit of a nightmare. Your job is to, which is what I normally played, is to distribute the ball and play it to your forwards, and the ball would be blowing around so much you couldn't really get that passing game going.
Shmarov from Imrakov. And the Soviets lose it there unless it was deflected. Apparently it was, so there'll be a corner kick coming up here for Spartak Moscow. Harapadenko will be the man putting it in play, number 7. Now Shmarov is going to come over instead. Number 9 to take it. Spartak Moscow has looked very dangerous on these, aided, of course, by that win.
And the U.S. bringing back all 11 players to defend on this corner kick.
That one started way out, and on the curve, Caprin couldn't get it off the header. Kept in, apparently, on this near sideline by Spartak Moscow. Vermees, though, cutting that off. Here comes Vermees, and he's tripped off right at the midfield line. And Vermees is hurting.
That's a first-class move that Vermees pulled along the sideline there. I don't really think he's injured seriously, but he's trying to call attention to the fact that that was a deliberate, cynical foul because the defender was completely beaten. We'll see Vermees. He draws the defender in and suddenly accelerates, and there you see the intent is completely to take Vermees' leg and not even look at the ball.
A reminder to prepare yourself for a night of exciting National Hockey League action. We've got Chicago against Boston, a 7 p.m. Eastern start, or Pittsburgh versus New Jersey, also at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Sports Channel, your home for the National Hockey League. Balboa ready to put it in play.
The other reason for Vermees to go down, other than a little bit of a breather, is to maybe he can get a yellow card call against the defender, Gradalenko.
Murray puts it straight up. Vermees. And now banged out of there by Spartak Moscow. Balboa, good fake to draw attention away from the Soviet player and allow that one to go out of play, and the U.S. will have the ball. Troy Dyack on the throw-in to Peter Vermees. Vermees playing with a lot more confidence these days for the U.S.
He shields the ball so well. He's not worried if two players are on him. He can keep possession and wait for a player to come and support.
He was the 1988 USSF Player of the Year. Coming back, Armstrong in the interception, countering quickly for the U.S. to Murray. Vermees heads for the area. Bruce Murray looking to send it through with a chance off the right foot and off the side of the netting. It goes out of play, but the U.S. looking very aggressive, as you said earlier, when they have the ball. That's a nice thing to see. They've averaged 2 goals a game over the last 6, and this has traditionally been a team that has had trouble scoring goals.
Well, Murray dribbling well here. Nice cut here. He gets the defender going the wrong way, cuts it back. Now, he's got Vermees, number 10, out in front, but he elects to shoot instead because he's hoping that the goalkeeper is also reading perhaps that pass to Vermees. If he catches him leaning out, he might beat him at the near post. So not a bad idea, because sometimes you can do that. That'll work.
Desmond Armstrong made a great recovery from a broken leg suffered in indoors to come back for this team. Soviets take it out on the intercept. Into the air went Fraser. Got some help now from Dyack. Troy Dyack sending it up for Vermees. Chesting it. Now Bliss. Brian Bliss played collegiately at Southern Connecticut State. Left it for Fraser. And in a run for the corner, that one goes out of play. Ball will belong to Spartak Moscow.
The United States playing with Balboa as the sweeper, and right in front of him there's the marking backs are Banks and Armstrong. The flank players on the right, it's Dyack. On the left, it's Paul Crumpy. Those are the guys that you hope to be able to work up into the attack, although they've not really had that chance because of these wind conditions.
Here's Kinnear off a deflection off Murray and then to Bliss. Bliss was nailed, and the foul is going to be called on Gradalenko. So it's Kinnear with Vermees over the ball, about 24, 25 yards from goal. Vermees lifting it, and it bends. One player missed out. Dyack, a shot, he scores! Troy Dyack, the U.S. leads 1-0. So the 19-year-old has his second goal, Ty, in as many games, and that's a beauty.
And it looked easy once it dropped to his feet, but some quick thinking started it off. Vermees taking the kick a little bit early, I think, before the Soviet team's defense was set. The ball drops in. There's a little bit of confusion, and Dyack's right there to pounce on it, and he does well. He takes his time. There's from the back angle. Now look at the wind, played tricks with the ball, but it drops down onto Dyack's thigh. He brings it down and very coolly slots it past the Soviet keeper.
So Troy Dyack, who's played on the under-17 and under-20 teams, looking good right now on the main team, the U.S. national team. You know, he was in the original group of 25 players that they were considering for Italy, and then he was injured, and that injury took him pretty much out of contention for the U.S. World Cup team. But he had a chance.
He followed that ball in well, because initially it wasn't really going to him until the wind caught it.
Here's Kinnear. Dominic Kinnear played collegiately at Hartwick. Good move by Kinnear towards Murray. And that is broken up, but the USA is on the board first. They lead it 1-0. The goal will be Dyack's goal. Broken up by Robin Fraser.
The assist should go, of course, to Vermees. He's the one that took the free kick, dropped the ball into the box. The wind played some tricks with it, and Dyack exploited it.
Coming back on the left side, Armstrong, shoulder to shoulder. Brings it up with Brian Bliss. Vermees and Murray making runs in front, but it is cut off by Spartak Moscow. Taken back by the Soviet team. Pop up.
The Soviets very deliberate in their play here. They've not taken many chances, and I know the analogy drawn by Bob Ganser when he talks about Soviet soccer is chess on grass. And they move players around, they work the ball in and then back out, and they try and switch play. So in some cases, maybe they need to go to more direct route here, and I think you'll see it because now they're down by a goal.
Oh, the linesman had the flag up indicating the offside. U.S. leading it by the score of 1-0 on a Troy Dyack goal. U.S. has done well here under tough conditions. They've worked hard on the ball possession part of it, and that's been working for them so far today. They've been very aggressive offensively. You can see a little more confidence in the team, but they're playing a more ambitious schedule, and the more experience they get, the more success they get, and they're 4-1-1 in their last 6. The confidence should come. Played up intended for either Kinnear or Vermees. That was tough to tell with the way the wind was going. In the middle, Bushmanov, number 3. Soviets will try the right flank. And it is blocked out of play. Another throw-in coming up for Spartak Moscow. USA on top, 1-0, still in the first half of play. Dyack with his 2nd goal in as many games. Imrakov will give it up. Zablayev is blocked, and quickly on the counter comes Dyack. Looking on the right side, he tried to spring Murray. You know, as soon as the U.S. gets it back, they're looking at that counter, and that's another good sign for the U.S.
Again, they're attacking with purpose. They have an idea when they do gain possession.
Zablayev, number 8, is blocked. And now Dyack will play it back comfortably, if you could say that today, to Mark Dodd.
See Murray and Vermees switching off, really playing as the deepest attacker for the United States. We see the goal there. Right now, Troy Dyack did all it took to give the U.S. a lead, 1-0 off that free kick from Peter Vermees.
Dodd sends this one up, looking for Dyack. And it goes out of play, but the ball will belong to the U.S. Murray will let the throw in go to Dyack. And Troy Dyack getting set. He is from Livermore, California. We're looking there at Murray, number 16, trying to get into position. Intended for Vermees, and that's broken up. We're seeing usually 2 players around Peter Vermees whenever he's near the ball. Coming back the other way, Imrakov. Across to the right side. Soviet team Spartak Moscow down 1-0 thanks to a Dyack goal for the U.S. Some room there for Zablayev, and he bends it wide of Mark Dodd. It's a good thing that the curve went the other way, because I had the feeling that that was going to bend inside and go with the wind.
It was a strangely struck ball. It had no spin on it whatsoever. And because of that, the wind didn't really have much of an effect on it.
U.S. team putting it in play. There's Balboa. Taken over pretty much there for Windishman, who had been the sweeper and the captain for the U.S. team. Vermees is now the captain, with Windishman not in the starting lineup. They were trying to move Windishman's position to left back, move Balboa in at sweeper, and Windishman has struggled a little bit there. Here's Vermees. We're going to look at Bruce Murray the other way up top on our ISO cam to show what he'll have to do to shake off some tight marking. Here's Vermees cutting.
And he was looking for Murray. Murray making the run across the top of the box. Murray, one of the main targets for the United States when they're trying to drive balls out into the heart of the Soviet defense.
Spartak Moscow playing it wide left. Zablayev will be picked up immediately by Dyack.
Vermees, an excellent target player. Sorry, Murray, an excellent target player because of his height, because he's so strong in the air. He's able to win balls in the air, and that collective. Vermees not quite as tall, good in the air, but maybe even better than Murray at holding the ball and taking the pressure then off of the United States defense if they're trying to defend a lead like they are here.
Kinnear did a nice job to get by Bushmanov, putting it into space. Bliss would have had a long run to go, so did Murray.
The wind stopped that ball. It maybe went about half as far as it would have otherwise had it been able to carry through. Bliss is making a nice run, blindside on the Soviet defenders.
Kaprin's pass the other way. One of the top players on the opposite side is Imrakov, number 10, and he's got the same situation that Murray had. He's going to have to avoid some tough marking. We look at him in the upper portion of your screen as action continues here for the U.S. in blue. Vermees trying to bring it inside as Banks goes outside now to Murray. Murray knocking it. Here's Banks. We're following Murray for you now up top. Banks looking to cross it low. Off a deflection. U.S. still with a chance where that ball is. Here's Kinnear with a good reaction. That's blocked. Fraser tried to come in, and there was some holding, but they may have a foul before.
No, actually, it's an injury. The Soviet player was kicked by his own player as the ball bounced loosely at the top of the arc. Just 22 yards out from the goal.
It's Bushmanov, number 3, who's down.
He took a strong hit on the follow-through from his teammate. We're going to have a look at it. here it is, the ball coming down out at the top of the box, fighting for it. And you'll see the one Soviet defender go to clear it, and he kicks his own player in the face. And obviously it could be a serious injury, so play was stopped by Vinny Morrow, the referee. Just before that, we had a nice shot of Murray on the ISO where he checked to the ball. He came to the ball, played it back out first time, and then immediately then worked his way to the back post, looking for a ball coming in from the side perhaps. So it's what an attacking player needs to do. He needs to show for the ball and then break in behind the defenders. So the ISO camera gave us a good look at that. Here's a look at the injured Soviet player. He's being taken off. We have a look. The ball drops in, and there's the kick right in the face. And that can't feel good, and there's blood all over the place.
So Bushmanov is coming out towards the sideline. They can either replace him, and then he would be all done for the day, or they could play shorthanded. Right now it is the U.S. with Crumpy playing it in. Chested down. That was dangerous. Right back to the goalkeeper, Durbanov, but it was dangerous at best. Only 10 players for Spartak Moscow, so they're going to wait and see how Bushmanov is. They look like they're taking him, though, to the dressing room. Must be near the end of the first half.
They're going to try and just play it out and have him ready to go in the second half.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time left, though.
Going to play for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
The man short. That's interesting.
Ball played all the way back towards Mark Dodd.
But again, the issue being that once he would leave the game and they would replace him, he could not re-enter. Right. FIFA rules and substitution. Any player that leaves the game and is substituted for, he's done for the day. By playing with just 9 field players or 10 total players, they would be able to reintroduce him into the lineup come second half, because he's not going to play in this half. They're marching him into the locker room.
USA with the lead on a Troy Dyack goal in the 30th minute of play. They'll have Balboa putting it in play. Balboa sending it in long right into the area where it's caught there by the goalkeeper, Durbunov. Right back over the midfield line. Balboa once, Balboa twice with some help from Banks. And now Desmond Armstrong clears it left side to Paul Crumpy, the ex-UCLA standout. Soviets now are getting ready to make a substitution. And we've got a foul over on that far side of the field as another USA player goes down. It is going to be Sakinev, who is supposed to be one of Spartak Moscow's better players up front, a good goal scorer, but he was not in the starting lineup today, surprisingly.
On the other hand, he may be given a little bit of a rest after Spartak Moscow had that excellent result in Naples against Napoli of the Italian First Division. I'm sure he was an important part of that.
Popov heads it out. What needs to be explained, though, is why Sakinev, a forward, is coming in for Bushmanov, who is a defender at the back.
They'll make an adjustment. They are a goal down. They need more attack out there.
Coming back the other way. Here's Crumpy. Crumpy looking long. Kinnear is behind the defense. A collision with the goalkeeper as it comes out. What a great play all around. Crumpy finding Kinnear. Dyack bending this one, but it goes wide to the left side. But a good idea, Crumpy to Kinnear, and several players working well together for the U.S.
Those are the types of attacks that are constantly worked on in practice. If you can switch the point of the attack, another switch play from one side to the other, and catch the defenders caught on one side and a player open, and Kinnear was wide open. He's not offside because he ran after the ball was played. He broke in behind the defenders just after it was played through.
Still got almost 4.5 minutes to go here in the first half of play. USA leading it by the score of 1-0. Sakinev is the player to watch right now for Spartak Moscow.
Well, he'll need to do a few things when they do the return leg of that European Cup game when Napoli comes to Moscow. A 0-0 result in Napoli is tremendous for the Soviets, and it caused an uproar in the Italian press. The press are so critical of their team. So much is expected of those teams in Italy because of the huge amounts of money spent on players and actually the huge fan following that they get at in those stadiums. So for them to have a tie, a 0-0 tie at home against what they consider to be an inferior Soviet team is a problem.
Bob Gansler has to like what he sees in this first half of play, and not just because his team was up 1-0, but the way they're playing under these conditions. They're switching the ball well, changing up their pace. When it looks like they may become easy to defend, they switch it, they change it, and catch the Soviet team off guard.
Well, they may need to withstand a little bit of pressure here in these last few minutes of the half, as the Soviets have to press hard, knowing that they won't have this wind in the second half, and it makes it easier to defend with the wind, because when you clear a ball, it's going to take on more flight and get further away from your goal.
Here comes Kinnear for the U.S. They're trying to play that solid 90-minute game. They had a good first half against Poland, a good second half against the Croatian team, but it did not put the two 90-minute games together, even though they did beat Poland 3-2.
The wind becoming a bit more of a crosswind in west to east across this field, as opposed to, I think earlier it was a little bit more from the north. Murray showing again for the ball, playing it back out, and now sprinting forward. He's going to try and hold a position up against the Soviet defenders. And him just showing for the ball there gives the United States more options in playing the ball out. You can keep possession a little bit, play it into him, it comes back out, they work it from side to side.
By our clock, which again is unofficial, we have less than a minute and a half to go in the opening half of play. Armstrong trying to spring Dyak, and now it is played to the back, instead by the Soviet Gradilenko. Bushmanov will give it up. Gradilenko, number 2, has Popov if he wants him, and he'll do it that way to the left sideline. Right back, Kinnear putting some pressure on, so does Murray.
Well, right now a disciplined team just takes no chances. They just defend very conscientiously and cover for each other, and don't take too many chances. You see Murray even coming back to defend, and Vermes as well.
Kinnear holding, waits for some help. Bliss will join in the attack. Kinnear being cautious, right back to Dyak. Intended for Bliss, broken up, but it went out of play. Last touch by Popov. And so the U.S. will put it back in play in the throw-in. U.S. hurting a little bit today. Eric Eichmann not playing because of a groin injury. Crumpy has an ankle problem, but is apparently well enough to have at least been in the starting lineup today. We don't know if he'll go the full 90. Vermes claims he was obstructed, and he's going to get the call. Other teams are showing a lot more respect now for Vermes and Murray, because they've scouted the U.S. just like the U.S. has scouted other teams, and they see the strength of those two forwards.
That is two of the stronger players the United States have out here. And the United States on that recent European tour were able to add in some of their players that are currently playing in Europe.
Ball played into the area and now cleared out by Spartak Moscow. Murray, and they're working hard. So is Vermes. Two forwards doing it defensively. Here's Kinnear getting it right back. U.S. with another chance before halftime, but Kinnear's shot was deflected. But you've got to like that again. They took a defensive situation, made that their best offense, and Kinnear had a good chance.
They pressured the Soviet defenders into coughing up the ball, and nearly had a goal to show for it as Kinnear broke down the right side. Here we have a situation where Crumpy's called on the foul. Looks like he's being booked, in fact.
Vitsamara wants that ball, and he wants to make the verdict known.
Maybe yellow carded. I believe it was Crumpy. Must have had that elbow up in the Soviet's face.
Those elbows can be sharp, can't they? Haven't you thrown a few or received a few in your day? As that's halftime, you won't have a chance to answer the question. But we have a lot more coming up at halftime. We'll have highlights later on, and we will also have an interview with the executive director, the new executive director of the United States Soccer Federation, Mr. Hank Steinbrecher. Right now, we will pause for this regional break. Team USA versus Moscow on Sports Channel America will return after these messages.
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
For more than 25 years, James Bond has thrilled moviegoers. And now Time Life Video announces the James Bond Collection. And the adventure begins with Goldfinger at the special introductory price of just $9.99. That's a savings of 50% off the regular price. Then you can collect other James Bond adventures on home video. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Thunderball, Live and Let Die, Octopussy, and more.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to buy.
The James Bond collection begins with Goldfinger for only $9.99. If you keep it, you'll receive another great Bond movie each month for just $19.99. There's no minimum to buy. Cancel at any time. Call now to get Goldfinger for just $9.99. Here's how to order.
To order your James Bond video cassette, call 1-800-841-0300. That's 1-800-841-0300. Or send just $9.99 plus $3.23 shipping and handling to James Bond Video, P.O. Box 4670, Omaha, Nebraska.
43 over, got big stay, right?
This is the Canadian Football League, hard-hitting pro football, and there's only one place where you can see it live and exclusive.
Calgary Battles BC, live at 10:30 Eastern on Sports Channel America tonight. See America's top annual equestrian extravaganza when Range Rover presents the National Horse Show, a U.S. Olympic Showcase exclusive. Live at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Sports Channel America, Wednesday.
Welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. And at the end of the first half of play, the U.S. is looking good. A goal by Troy Dyack in the 30th minute of play has been the only score thus far. And so the USA leads by the score of 1-0. We welcome you back, everyone, here at halftime. I'm John Paul Delacamera. Alongside me is Hank Steinbrecher, the new executive director of the United States Soccer Federation. And if we talked about all of Hank's accomplishments in soccer, I probably wouldn't have a chance to ask as many questions as I'd like, but you've done it as a coach and as an administrator, and this has got to be the biggest challenge for you, Hank.
Well, obviously, it's a great challenge ahead. The next 4 years will really, I hope, bring soccer into the mainframe of sport culture in the United States. A great opportunity, and really excited to be back in the fold with soccer.
You had a great opportunity. You were working with Quaker Oats and with Gatorade, and Gatorade has always been a good national sponsor with professional soccer in this country. What made you leave for this challenge?
My passion really is in soccer. It always has been ever since I was a child. And, you know, working on a daily basis with the NFL and the NBA was great and very, very exciting. But here's an opportunity to make a difference. And hopefully that corporate experience will help us catapult into the future.
Let's talk about priorities, because when someone takes over a new position, there's obviously a lot to do. How do you prioritize things now?
Well, first, I think you set a clear vision and a clear statement as to where you want the Federation to go. And I think it's important we realize that we're a service organization, and we want to create an attitude within the Federation of service and of growth. That certainly is the first step. Getting the national team program, long-range schedules, that's another. Everything we do, however, it has to be predicated on servicing the needs of all of our constituents, and go back to our original charter of service.
Short-term and long-term. Long-term's got to be 1994, but I know you're concerned about 1995, because with so much talk of 94, if the World Cup comes here and it disappears and we forget about it, we haven't accomplished as much as we'd like.
1994 is important, but the World Cup will manage people. It's such a big event. We have to manage our game, and we have to look at it as a product. 95 is where my goals are located. Our short-term vision, however, is to get things stabilized, to bring in a professional infrastructure, to help sell soccer within a corporate structure. Long-range plans are to develop that pro league in 95, so your children, my children, the people here have an opportunity somewhere to go.
Let's talk about that pro league. I know there was a meeting in Chicago this week. Earl Foreman of the Major Soccer League is in charge of that committee. Some positive stuff came out of those meetings, and I hear we're a go for 92, but there's a lot of work.
There's an awful lot of work, but we're committed to going to 92, and we will have a pro league in the spring of 92, and we'll be up and running.
Any idea, Hank, at this point, how many teams or what kind of a structure it will have, or is it still in the very early formative stages?
It would be inappropriate for me to comment about it now, but we're looking at a number of different scenarios. We will have a place for our children to play, and we will develop our spectator base.
You know, on the national team, a lot of people know that the improvement in the national team was when the decision was made to go full-time. Full-time players, sign them under contracts, schedule more games. Where does that stand now? Because I understand that contracts were supposed to come up in December for this year's group.
We don't have any intention of letting that program go or getting away from us. We're in the midst of evaluating right now where we can go with our players. We will re-up our contracts. We will have a full-time staff. In fact, we will bring even greater focus to our national team. We will hire a full-time general manager and a full-time promoter for our national team programs.
I'm I'm sorry, as you see the U.S. national team and the whole program of the World Cup, what's the most critical thing right now facing the United States Soccer Federation?
Experience. Competition is the best coach. And I coached for 15 years. Competition is the best coach. And we have to get our players as much competition at a high level as we possibly can. That's the focus. That's where we want to go.
I know you had great success as a coach. I hope you have the same as the leader now of the United States Soccer Federation.
Like to have as much success as Bob is having today with his win. I'll be real happy.
He's very happy. Thanks, Hank. Hank Steinbrecher, the new executive director of the United States Soccer Federation, enjoying maybe not the win, but certainly the result so far at halftime. USA leads 1-0. We'll have more from Blaine after this.
Nothing beats number one. Nothing beats the king of thieves. Nothing beats clean, crisp, and cold. This is the best, and we got it right here. Yeah. Nothing beats the bud, yeah, nothing beats the bud, yeah, nothing beats the Budweiser. Nothing beats the bud.
From the world of international soccer comes Soccer International. North America's fastest growing full-color soccer monthly brings alive a world of great soccer action. Every month, through 70 pages of stunning photography, revealing graphics and incisive commentary, Soccer International brings you International Spotlight, star player profiles, coaching and refereeing tips, North American Soccer Report, and more. 12 issues, only $22.95. Soccer International. Subscribe now. Call 1-800-448-3232.
And welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center here in Blaine, Minnesota, where at the end of the first half of play, the U.S. national team is leading club team Spartak Moscow by the score of 1-0. I'm now joined by Ty Keogh. And Ty, that first half, the USA adjusted very well to these windy conditions and looked like the better team for 45 minutes.
They did look like the better team. The Soviets did not really play with much urgency. And if you think about what's going to happen out here, they had the win in that first half. They weren't able to make it count. On the other hand, the United States team, because they were organized and they did stick to their game plan, they looked quite good. And other than a couple times that Mark Dodd was really stretched on a couple of those balls that fooled him because of the wind, it was the United States team that really dictated the flow of the play.
Up top, the USA was doing very well in terms of Murray and Vermees, but the midfield looked good, especially when you consider that Ramos isn't here, John Harkes isn't here, so it's not as strong a midfield as we've seen the USA have in the past, but it didn't seem to matter in the first half.
Well, you've got a guy in there, Brian Bliss, who's having a good performance, and he's very used to playing alongside Murray and Vermees. He's familiar with them. They are well coordinated when they counterattack, and he was good in support of them. So missing a guy like Harkes or Ramos is less going to hurt you when you've got a guy like Bliss who's been a part of this team for a long time.
Poise is so important, especially for the U.S. national team. It's a young team. In today's lineup, only 2 players are older than 26 years old. It sounds like you're saying something wrong about Paul Crumpy when you say he's the elder statesman and he's only 27. But how about the play of a 19-year-old? Where is the poise coming from in 19-year-old Troy Dyack?
Well, Troy Dyack has had a great deal of international experience and going with the United States youth teams, playing in various parts of the world. So there's a lot of confidence there in his play. Bob Gansler coached him at the under-20 level and has seen him perform extremely well there. So he's seasoned in terms of international soccer. So for him to step on the field here and do well, even as a 19-year-old, is not that big a deal. That's one of the good things now about the United States Soccer Federation's player development program. You can bring up these young guys, and they've been around the world.
Well, Dyack scored the only goal in this game, and it came at the 30th minute of play in the first half, and the USA has that 1-0 lead. In the second half, I'm wondering what must be done by the USA. Will they change anything because of the wind conditions?
Well, I think if they have to, they can rely on the wind helping them keep the ball out and away from their goal. They'll have the assist when they're going to clear the ball. And in terms of being able to take some shots from a longer range, too, when they do counterattack, what they really need to do is take some real shots so that they have the wind at their backs.
Of the 2 teams, it seems like the Soviets have to make more of an adjustment than the U.S.
They certainly do, because they've not been able to dictate the pace of the game. They've had the United States really play a well-organized and a well-thought-out game, and they've attacked with purpose. Now, the Soviets have not shown us that.
Well, they might in the second half. The USA, after one half of play, is out in front of Spartak Moscow by the score of 1-0. We now pause for a regional break. Team USA versus Spartak Moscow on Sports Channel America will return after these messages. Sit.
It's not simply a game. It's an era of fitness, health, muscle development,
body toning, beauty, and power. It's the era of Soloflex. Become a part of it. Call anytime for a free brochure.
There's no magic formula for catching big bass like these. It's really a matter of know-how, the kind of know-how that brings in big winnings for the pro anglers. I'm Ray Scott, and you can share the know-how that bass pros depend on when you join the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. As a member, you get 10 big issues a year of Bassmaster magazine, packed cover to cover with the hottest bass catching how-tos, written and photographed by anglers for anglers. And each issue is the next best thing to a fishing trip with bassing greats like Roland Martin, Guido Hibden, and Larry Nixon. If you want to go for bigger bass, go for the best know-how. Join Bass today, and I'll send you this free gift. Here's how.
Call 1-800-841-0300 to join Bass and get your free Bass Army knife from Ray Scott. It features a cutting blade, scissors, a corkscrew, fish scaler, screwdrivers, and more. You'll also receive 10 big issues of Bassmaster magazine with your $15 paid membership. That's 1-800-841-0300. Call now.
Stay with Sports Channel America every night after the main event and get the latest news, interviews, scores, and highlights from the world of sports. Sports Nightly. See it exclusively on the Sports Channel America Network tonight.
Well, the United States is leading 1-0 over Spartak Moscow here in Blaine. We welcome everyone right back to the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. We'd like to talk right now at this time about the 1990 Herman Trophy. It's a trophy that's been around for years. It's going to be announced at a press conference in mid-November, and it's based upon ballots cast by hundreds of college soccer coaches and the media. Now, throughout its 23-year history, the Herman Trophy has been presented to the top 20 collegiate soccer players, or to the top collegiate soccer player in the country, and this year marks the 3rd anniversary that the award will also be presented to the female soccer players as well. We're going to take a look at the top 10 candidates for the 1990 trophy, and these are the players that they include, and Ty, a lot of very good players on that list, playing for some national teams. Some of these guys have played for the national team before. Jeff Agus, Jeff Biker, Casey Keller, who went to Italy and played as the backup goalkeeper, I should say, with the U.S. team. Aleke Lalas of Rutgers, Kurt Onalfo. University of Virginia has a few players there. Cam Rast from Santa Clara, Mark Santel of St. Louis, Ken Snow, the great goal scorer from Indiana, and Billy Thompson of UCLA. On the other side, we've got Brandy Chastain of Santa Clara. Santa Clara with a strong women's program as well as a men's program. Lisa Cole, Julie Foudy, Mia Hamm, who plays for Anson Dorrance's team at UNC. Linda Hamilton, same team. Holly Helmuth from UMass. Charmaine Hooper, North Carolina State. April Cater of UMass. Christine Lilly, also from University of North Carolina. And then Karen Richter from Central Florida. A lot of gifted players on both sides. And this might be the closest that the Herman Trophy vote has been this coming year. Again, we're here at halftime, and we're going to talk before this game about the Irish sweepstakes coming up, the Fighting Irish Sweepstakes. Saturday, November 24th, Sports Channel America and the publishers of Clear Body, Clear Mind by L. Ron Hubbard want to send you and a guest to Los Angeles for the Fighting Irish season finale against USC. The trip includes round-trip airfare, tickets to the game, and hotel accommodations. To enter, put your name, address, and a daytime phone number on a postcard and send it to Sports Channel America Fighting Irish Sweepstakes and the address on the screen. Entries must be received by Monday, November 12th, and you must be 18 years or older to enter. That's the Fighting Irish Sweepstakes. It is 1-0, the USA leading, and here's how they did it.
A free kick, and it's Vermees who takes it quickly, and he floats it into the box. Going up for it is Murray, I believe. It might have been Crumpy, but it drops down on Diak's foot, and then he's all the way through the Soviet defenders and is able just to slot the ball home. And I think the key here again is that Vermees took that kick a little bit earlier than it was expected by the Soviet defenders.
Taking a look at the stats, we'll see if they tell us anything. The shots on goal show that it was 6-3 for the Soviet team. And that sounds about right, because if you remember early in that first half of play, the Soviet team, Spartak Moscow, did have chances, but the U.S. counted on theirs. The fouls are pretty even. Saves give 3 to Dodd and 1 to Durbanov, the goalkeeper for the Soviet Union, but not a real big discrepancy there.
No, but a couple of spectacular saves really by Dodd, as the wind did play tricks with the ball, and he had to reach back and use that range that he does have to keep the ball out of the United States goal.
Some of the fans have braved the elements here. We don't know what the attendance is, but this stadium seats some 12,000 for soccer, and it was built for soccer. They have plans to expand it to some 35,000 seats if they can get at least 3 World Cup games here for 1994. The facility is managed by Chris Wright, who was a former general manager of the indoor soccer team when it was the MISL. He was with the Pittsburgh Spirit. It's now, of course, called the Major Soccer League. And we mentioned before that Earl Foreman of the Major Soccer League is the man in charge of the committee that's trying to get outdoor soccer organized. And Hank Steinbrecher and this man Bob Gansel, I'm sure, we're happy with the meetings in Chicago this week, and it seems like everything is a go to have a national league in place by 1992.
Gansler being forced here to juggle players quite a bit because of some of his players who did so well in the World Cup signed with European teams. There's a few players that were under consideration with the national team that are currently tied up with their college teams during this fall season. So he's got new faces out there, but he's got a structure to the team. He tries to plug in the players to the set structure that he's already had for this team over the last 18 months.
And in looking around, it seems like he's going with what got him there in that first half of play to start the second half of play. We'll check on Spartak Moscow for you as well. Remember, Bushmanov left the game with an injury. He got kicked in the face. I don't see him out there. He wears number 3. Here's Kinnear, number 7 for the USA. Trying to see if they can put together a 45-minute half here like they did in the first half, in which they not only won the first half 1-0, but they looked to be the better side.
They did get off lucky once or twice when a ball did slip through. Remember one shot going just wide.
The one by Imrikov. Coming back the other way. A whistle sounds, and Vincent Morrow's going to foul there.
And look for Murray to line this one up. He's got a thunderous right foot. This is just exactly where he likes to take them from. And now he's got a little bit of wind to assist that powerful shot.
Well, they'll try to disguise it with Murray, Bliss, and Vermees over the ball. And now Crumpy begins a run. This one looks interesting. Now Crumpy's going to come back. Soviets didn't react to him. Here's Murray.
You see Dominic Kinnear on the edge of the wall, in the Soviet wall. He's going to duck away, and I'll tell you, Murray's going to try and bury that ball just in that space that he leaves.
I think you've got it. Yep, Bliss will touch. There's Murray, and not the way he wanted it, but he was the shooter all along.
Not even close to how he wanted it. He hit that ball even with backspin. He hit the underside of the ball. Normally, to get power on it, you have to hit the center of the ball or even the top half. You can get the ball then to dip and knuckle, in fact, and give the goalkeeper a nightmare.
You know, you mentioned before about the juggling that Bob Gansler has had to do. You know, forget about bringing players in and out of the lineup. The chemistry is obviously affected, but how about on the set pieces? Tav Ramos did a lot of work on the corner kicks and on the set plays, and now it's someone else that has to respond and take the leadership. So every area of the game is affected.
John Hark's involved in many of those situations too.
Coming back now, Spartak Moscow. In the middle, that's broken up. Bliss got a piece now to Murray. Here's Kinnear. Dominic Kinnear has looked good in this first half, and now in the early stages of the second. Murray was taken down. Play on, says Vinnie Morrow.
Some deception there in tandem by Vermees and Murray. Vermees let that ball run on to Murray, drew a defender in the process, tried to curl around to get a return pass. That's a very effective play to break through a defense.
Vermees trying to come through, slowed down by Spartak Moscow. Now Murray in there trying to help out. Zoblayev blocked by Robin Fraser.
Fraser, an elegant player there. A nice little move as he pulled the ball back with the sole of his foot to pull it out of danger and keep the play flowing.
Fraser, one of those players being given a chance because of other players' success in landing a contract overseas. Some of the names that we're going to skip some, obviously, this is off the top of my head, but Miola, Trichu, John Doyle, Paul Caligiuri, John Harks, Tav Ramos, among those not here, playing for clubs overseas. Vermes, right back to the keeper, John Stolmeyer, who was a part of the U.S. team in Italy, is now an assistant coach at Notre Dame as he recovers from an injury. Here's Murray, the top U.S. goal scorer with 11. Plays it in low, and on the bounce, Durbanoff is there.
And Murray showing his dribbling ability in the one-on-one situation in the corner there. He was able to get free enough to get that ball crossed in. It's just the timing wasn't quite there for Vermes' run.
Durbanoff kicking it up near midfield. Crumpy got a piece. And now it's taken over by Caprin on the left side. Zoblayev, number 8. On the run for Spartak. He was looking for Smartov, but never made it. Imrekov at the top of your screen.
He's double teamed finally, maneuvering well initially, screening the defender from the ball with his body, shielding it.
Spartak Moscow looking up the middle for Imrekov.
There he goes again, holding off Desmond Armstrong just to keep possession there.
And Spartak Moscow does get possession. It feels like the wind is picking up even more right now in this second half of play. Ball played into the area, cut off by Jimmy Banks, kicking it out on his second effort, and it got by Sakinev. A long run for Gradilenko.
I guess the Soviets could plead some jet lag in terms of their performance today. Long flight, they just got in actually to play this game. And they've not been as sharp, particularly when they get into the attacking third. Here at midfield, they're working the ball very nicely right now as you see them stringing pass after pass together, but they've not really accomplished that much in terms of getting through the U.S. defense. The U.S. defense remains organized and forces them wide.
The clock on the top portion of your screen indicates we've gone better than 5 minutes into the second half of play. We've got an injured player down for the U.S. And it's Robin Fraser coming back on the right side. Smarov, number 9, with Banks on him as he tries to bring it back outside the area. Sent in, and that's deflected. We still have Fraser down. Bliss trying to block it. Vermes coming in after it. Caprin to the outside. Headed down towards Imrekov, now into the area. Fraser is back up on his feet, back into the play.
But a dangerous little sequence there for the United States as the ball popped into their area. There were 2 Soviet shirts and only 1 blue shirt there.
Parapenko, number 7. Giving it up in the middle. Touch to Smarov. Now Imrekov is taken down, and Desmond Armstrong will play it back to Mark Dodd.
Imrekov just really muscled off the ball by Armstrong. Armstrong took up a good position and made a nice defensive play.
Soviets tie did make a switch in that second half. I see Valery Popovich, number 15, out there. Looking to see if Popov still out on the field. He had played in that first half of play, but I haven't seen him here in the second. Here's Caprin. Giving it up on the outside. Spartak Moscow on the attack. They trail 1-0 to the USA on a Troy Dyack goal in the 30th minute of play. Caprin going forward. A good tackle by Balboa, but Spartak Moscow gets it back. Working it on the outside. That looked like Popov now playing on that outside wing. So apparently he was not the player that went out. But 15, Popovich, is in the lineup, listed as a midfielder. All the way back to Mark Dodd.
Now you're going to see Dodd kick more often here in this half. He's got the wind at his back, so he can get much more distance on his punts.
Sent long by Dodd. And even longer.
What a bounce.
As this one sails out of play. 1-0 here. A reminder that the leaders in NASCAR put the pedal to the metal in pursuit of the Grand National Series Championship title. You can catch the exclusive coverage of the Winston Classic from Martinsville Speedway and watch the 1990 Grand National Drivers Series champion cross the finish line. All the action tomorrow at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live on Sports Channel America. With Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul Della Camera. The USA in blue defending here. They lead it 1-0 as Armstrong heads it upfield. Right side, settled down, Parapenko. Far side, it is sent right in on a 1 bounce to Dodd. And Mark Dodd, who is from the Dallas area originally, was a starter for Duke for 3 years, and he was on their '86 championship team.
He played this past summer for the Colorado Foxes.
Here's Murray trying to turn it inside. Murray did well with that, but then gave it up on the interception. Coming up, and a foul is going to be called on Desmond Armstrong. Armstrong not only does well on the field, but he's an artist by trade or by hobby more than anything. He has drawn some great sketches based off of pictures of his teammates. They've been very well accepted from the Baltimore, Maryland area. Crumpy couldn't get to that one as that goes out of play. Crumpy was an integral part of this team even qualifying for the Olympics, and then right after that he was injured and missed some of the World Cup qualifying competition. The U.S. was glad to get him back into the lineup because he made such great runs from the back and gave them another dimension. They missed that in a lot of those games where they were having a hard time scoring goals.
Plus, he's a hard competitor, an enforcer, and you need a few guys like that out there.
At the age of 27, again, the oldest player right now in the field for the USA. Another foul call. Murray has drawn his share of fouls, but he's able to dish it back as well. When he's going for the ball, he can be as rough as a man marking him.
That's called self-defense. In many instances, you watch some of the great forwards in the world, even going back to Pelé when he was double and triple teamed. He had to know how to take care of himself. Marco van Basten, the great Dutch player playing in the Italian First Division now. They have to be able to preempt fouls. There's Murray coming in, and he's just pushed from behind, but he'd taken up a good position, which forced the defender then to have to foul him.
You're speaking of Pelé, you know, he just celebrated his 50th birthday this past week, and you've seen him probably in the last year. We saw him at the World Cup, and he looks great.
Many people think he could still step on the field and do some things, and I believe that. He may not be able to go for 90 minutes, but you could probably throw him in just about any game at any level, and for a good 15 or 20 minutes, I'm sure he could work a lot of his magic.
You wouldn't mind having him start your free kicks, right, every once in a while? Coming back the other way, Sakina was broken up. Here's Kinnear. Back to Bliss. Again, it's getting even windier here in Blaine. And they told us before that the winds were going 23 to 45 an hour as Kinnear has called for the foul. A reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by the Authority of Sports Channel America and is intended for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Sports Channel America is prohibited. Free kick coming up here now in a dangerous spot as far as the U.S. is concerned. Spartak Moscow. With Shmarov ready to put it in play. The wind seems to have shifted from north-south to east-west as well as pick up some speed. Shmarov against that two-man wall, sends it in low, kicks straight up. Anybody's ball. Now Bliss will head it out of danger. Murray on the chase. He and Popov side by side. Gradilenko sending it in long over the shoulder with Balboa's there, and he got crunched as soon as he won that ball in the air. Murray held it well for Bliss. Now it's a Crumpy. All the way on that far side. Good reversal for Crumpy to find Dyak all alone. That's Dyak's first touch, I think, of the ball this second half.
He being the goal scorer.
30th minute of play, and look at what he does with this next touch, but he's just broken up. The more you watch Dyak, and I'll tell you, he's a very confident player right now. Nothing like scoring a goal in the last two games that doesn't help boost you. Fraser doing the same. On a bender, just wide, and you can see what the wind did to that. That one looks far post all the way. That's two good shifts, if you will, right there for the U.S. national team.
Fraser not afraid to try it from outside either. We had just seen Dyak earlier have a nice chance. Here's the steal by Fraser, though. He keeps his balance well. Now he steps over the ball, and he's coming forward. He winds up with that left foot, and he's got the keeper a little bit out of position. But the ball just misses by a couple of feet.
Durbunov sending it long, headed by Armstrong. Now Crumpy. Bliss was looking for it. Crumpy joining in the attack. Broken up. Parapadenka, and a foul is going to be called on Crumpy. We've gone almost 60 minutes, which would bring us to 30 left as we look at Paul Crumpy from Torrance, California. 5'10", 170 pounds.
Crumpy caught there for some shirt pulling. Sure, he felt it was worth it. He then had a chance to get back and mark up on his man.
Shirt pulling has become an art in soccer, unfortunately. Here comes Vermees, and Vinny Morrow says go with the advantage. Good call, as it is knocked out of play. Last touch by Imrakov. Oh, apparently not. Last touch by the U.S. Vermees will get it back, and then that's broken up. Coming back, Crumpy steps in, almost got it, paid the price. Crumpy's down.
And he's had an ankle problem this week in practices, so he's got an ankle that's sore, but I would imagine he got caught on it right there.
Coming back, Spartak Moscow, as Crumpy is still down to our left. USA leading it 1-0. Doing well against Spartak Moscow, defending Soviet champion. Parapadenka bends it in, cleared. Banks got a good foot on that, and Crumpy is hobbling in midfield.
Dangerous balls there, driven into the box low. They could even go in off of a defender, and that's the design on them. You don't necessarily loft the ball in there where a keeper could come out. Looking at Crumpy here, he's in obvious pain. He was holding his ankle as he went down. He's had the problems, as we mentioned. It looks that he may have re-aggravated that enough, perhaps for him to have to come off. He had been mixing it up a little bit along this near sideline. He's coming through the ball there to win that tackle. Now he's after a second one, and the defender comes through hard and catches him pretty well. And Crumpy's still down. He's being attended to.
And Ty, he's not really recovered from that first hit when he gets back on the other one. And speaking of hits, how about the NHL? Because that's coming up later tonight. You can prepare yourself for some bone-crunching action this evening. We've got games for you coming up with the Blackhawks and the Bruins at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils, who are off to a great start this year. That's at 7:30 Eastern Time. Crumpy is back up. Windishman, though, will loosen up. Windishman was going to start for Crumpy had the ankle problem been too severe for Crumpy to go. On the throw-in, Spartak Moscow. Playing it in, look out, as it's blocked by the U.S. Banks got a touch. And we've got another player, Parapadenka, going down, and a foul is called on the U.S.
Well, we're seeing some disarray here now in the U.S. defense and in the midfield, as the Soviets are now pressing a bit and starting to cause some problems right at that perimeter area of the United States penalty area.
Shmanov, number 9, will put it in play. It's a 5-man U.S. wall. Passes it instead, it's cleared out. Banks got a touch. Coming through, long shot from the Soviets, and that one sails wide and out of play, but a good effort nonetheless.
It was struck well and through some traffic, giving goalkeeper Mark Dodd. We'll have his look at it. There's all those bodies out in front. The ball spread wide. They get the defense to shift here. Now he comes inside. The ball is hit low, but just wide. Dodd stretching as far as he can, extending himself well to cover that post.
Pass intended for Bruce Murray as we come back on the live action, and that was too far away. It'll be thrown in this way by Hlestov, number 13. Popovich's pass. And that's going to be cut off by Desmond Armstrong. Armstrong trying to bring it forward now for the U.S. Finds Robin Fraser. Good move. U.S. countering here, trying to bring some numbers forward. Kinnear joins on the rush. And now Fraser is slowed down by Spartak Moscow. He'll play it back. Dyak was blocked. Second effort. Good recovery by Dyak. Great play to send it outside wide to Bliss. And as Bliss tried to play it across, that is blocked. Again, Dyak reversing it well, allowing the U.S. to maintain possession. They've worked at it, and you can tell, you can see it in their results.
Well, at the very least, they're going to need more play like that in order to win this game, because one goal may not win it. And I'm certain that if you decide to just go back and defend in your own third, eventually you're going to give a goal up. So the United States needs to have attacks like that, where they keep the ball a little bit, probe, maybe switch the point of the attack, but still threaten and keep the Soviets honest. If you go back into a defensive shell these players are good enough, the Soviets are good enough, that it's a matter of time before they will find a way to break through and score.
Especially with a win like this, I'm surprised there hasn't been a fluke goal or two by this point.
You have to consider that.
Diak's touch now to Kinnear, now to Bruce Murray.
And the longer it goes, obviously, without coming up with a second goal, the pressure mounts on whether you can defend just that one goal that you do have.
Spartak Moscow in red, bringing it forward, past the midfield line. It's a 1-0 USA lead on Troy Diak's goal in the 30th minute of play. That was in the first half. We still got a lot more action coming your way here in the second half. But again, if it should end up in a tie after 90, that'll be it. No overtime today. Here's Vermees getting a good pass the other way. Trying for Murray. Murray did well to check off his man. Gets around his man. Murray joined by Bliss. And it was knocked out of play, or so I thought. But they're pointing at the goalkeeper for a goal kick. It's a great effort from Murray.
Murray may have just misplayed it, but the ball coming through from Vermees, who had a great ball from Balboa initially. And it's a good move by Murray. He's past the last defender, and when he goes to shoot it, looks like he tried to get it with his heel and put it behind his own leg. I would rather have seen him go with something a little more basic, fundamental, and not as fancy, and maybe just crack the ball on goal and see what happens, because he went to make the fancy heel move and end up hitting his own leg and going out for a goal kick. You got to take your shot.
He did well too, because it looked like he was tied up. He just checked off of his man, got into some space, and created something for the U.S. Both he and Vermees have looked good up top today, but again, I think you've got to give a lot of credit to that midfield area without Harks, without Ramos, but looking very good, switching the ball well.
Well, they've not gotten the ball up to those two guys as much in this half as they did in the first. And I think part of it is you got the wind at your back. You're afraid to play those long balls because they're not going to be able to run underneath them. They're just going to carry out of bounds, so it's a little tougher. Even though they were against the wind in the first half, they could drive a ball up there and it would hold for them.
And off of that last bounce, that's a high bounce back. The ground hard because of the cold conditions here as well. Ready to throw in are the Soviets.
Now that
Spartak Moscow.
The ball went it's almost 7/8 the length of the field with the wind assist.
It's a heck of an assist as well. The U.S. team leading it by the score of 1-0. Diak has the only goal, and it came in the 30th minute of play. Spartak Moscow to midfield. Not able to string those passes together. Blocked. Fraser going to poke at that. Now it's Bruce Murray. Murray cuts inside well. Armstrong was looking for it, but it was knocked out of play. Last touch by Gradalenko. And Desmond Armstrong is going to let someone else toss that one in as Crumpy comes up. Well, between Crumpy and Armstrong, two players that made big comebacks after those injuries.
Well, Crumpy's ankle injury in this game must have resolved itself. Windishman has sat back down now on the bench. He had been warming up, perhaps to replace Crumpy. Look at that.
I don't know if we want to see that in a replay.
The wind blew it right out of his hands, I guess.
And you won't kid him about it after the game, will you?
Well, that is ruled a foul throw-in, so the Soviets take possession from the throw-in there.
Spartak Moscow with Caprin, number 6. And that's cut off by Balboa. Up the right flank, Diak moving it to the inside. Troy Diak playing it up for Kinnear. Kinnear getting free. Shot blocked, and it goes out of play. Should be a corner kick for the U.S., but Kinnear very aggressive there and almost scored the second goal.
Kinnear did well, but it's Diak who starts it. He's deceptively quick. Built low to the ground. He plays it through. Kinnear flips it past the defender, wins the race to it. The goalkeeper covers the angle well, though. Doesn't give Kinnear much to shoot at, and the corner kick results.
Kinnear and Diak, we told you earlier, teammates in the APSL with San Francisco, working well together. That's going to the far post and even farther out of play. So there'll be a goal kick coming up here for Spartak Moscow. USA leading at 1-0. The only goal was Troy Diak's. We'll have
Nothing beats the USA. Nothing beats what we've got here. Nothing beats clean, crisp, cold. Nothing beats the king of beer. Yeah, nothing beats the fight, yeah, nothing beats the fight, yeah, nothing beats the Budweiser. Nothing beats the...
Welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center here in Blaine, Minnesota with Ty Keogh. I'm John Paul Della Camera. USA leading it 1-0. The only goal is Troy Dyack's in the 30th minute of play. Nice sidestep from Murray to Bliss, and he works it well outside of Peter Vermees. Vermees tried to sidestep a Spartak Moscow player, right idea, but then it went out of play, and it belongs to Spartak Moscow. But we saw 3 good things there on that play.
And 3 players who've been an important part of a coordinated attack for the United States today. When you talk about well thought out attacks by the United States, it's been Vermees and Murray and Bliss. Of course, Dyack has the goal and has caused some problems, and Canera's had a nice game, but these are the guys that really have made it happen and gotten the Soviet defense backpedaling and started to open up things for the other players.
And Vermees and Murray normally get the playing time. Bliss has gotten more now because of the other players going and playing in Europe, and he's taking advantage of more playing time. At one point, he was a solid starter on the Olympic team.
That was a beautifully played ball to space for Vermees to run onto.
Soviets getting it back. They're down by 1. Kaprin slid in by Popovich. Harapadenka looking to bring it inside, but Popovich was held outside by Robin Fraser, who wouldn't let him break into the middle. Mark Dodd tells everyone to just advance. Remember what he did last time when he put the ball up.
I may have to look out in the parking lot at the other end.
Here's Dodd, the ex-Duke goalkeeper. Looking long, and how about that one, Murray?
Murray muscling into the position there to win that.
Kinnear was fouled. I tell you, in a game like this where these players have the rhythm, unless somebody is really overly tired, it'd be tough to bring a guy in cold, and I mean that in 2 ways, off the bench. Rather go with what you have. In the 70th minute of play right now of a 90-minute game between the U.S. national team and Spartak Moscow, one of the good Soviet club teams. Here's Balboa, a long one, and that bounced and seemed to pick up speed as it hit the hard turf. Here's the goal scorer, Dyack, who has now scored in 2 straight games for the United States. You know, the good thing about these players and some of the other players that are playing in Europe, if indeed that is where our World Cup team will come from in '94, all these guys are very young. A guy like Dyack is 19, so put 4 more years on him, and he's still in his early 20s, and that's the same with a lot of these players. So by '94, Ty, it'll still be a young team, but because the U.S. automatically qualifies as the host country, they can work on getting a more settled lineup, not have to worry about qualifying as much. Out of play, that one goes, and the Soviets will put it in play. And a foul, Jimmy Banks, who helped that one out.
Well, the U.S. team today has to count itself lucky that they're not trying to defend this lead in the later stages of the second half against the wind. They may then have been hemmed into their own zone. What they've been able to do is get the ball out with the big kicks by Dodd and by other devices, but when they've come forward, they've continued to make credible attacks. In other words, keep the Soviets honest so the Soviets can't push too many players forward and start to force the pressure into the U.S. zone. And the U.S. does not want to go into a defensive shell. It's working for them here.
Kinnear and company, and that one sails over everyone. Durbunov, the goalkeeper for Spartak Moscow. USA leading it 1-0. There's Kinnear, number 7. Told you at the top that the U.S. has had some injury problems, although Crumpy, despite an ankle problem, has done well here. Eichmann unable to perform for the U.S. He's been bothered by a groin injury suffered in a previous game. Here's Popovich putting it in. Shmarov was going after. Dodd was coming way out, but Armstrong helped him out. Off a flick, there's Dyack. Gets away from the push, right back to Armstrong.
Now we're going to see the Soviets, if they've got enough left, start to raise it here. And the game's going to become more physical. They're going to try, they've tried certain approaches already to turn this around. When all else fails, you need to start kicking some people.
Here's Murray on the 7th pass off a deflection. Dragunov was there, but by my count, Ty, that's 7 passes they strung together from their own end of the field, and then they get off a quality shot,
which very easily could have been a goal.
Here's Vermees with a chance to make it here. Getting some help from Crumpy as Vermees was taken down. Tell you, if Bob Gansler could see more of that, 7 passes strung together, and then the quality shot, would be a very entertaining side to watch.
They worked the ball well down this left flank, and as is common in the later stages of any soccer game, 90 minutes, a lot of time to run. This is a big field. There's more and more space that opens up as the game goes along, and the U.S. taking full advantage of that. We're able to work the ball, as we're going to see here. They knock the ball back. Now Murray has time now to look forward. Look at the space that's there for him to work with. He gets the ball laid back into his path, and he hammers it. It's partially deflected. Keeper going the wrong way, barely reaches back in time.
Back in the live action. Crowd wanted a foul called against the Soviets as Murray was taken down. It's right back to Dragunov. He'll toss out on the left side, and Spartak Moscow going against the wind and against the 1-0 deficit, because the USA has that lead. They've had it since the 30th minute of the first half of play on Diak's score. And that's been it, although there have been chances for both sides.
One of the things that I've been impressed with the U.S. team today is that in terms of the physical aspect of the game, in terms of who plays hard and who can play strong, and the Soviets are known for that. They're such highly trained athletes. The United States has stood right up to them, and Murray's had his way with most of the defenders just going past them at will.
Have approximately 15 minutes left here in the second half of play. USA leading it 1-0. It's blocked. Soviets with a chance in the area, and it was just shot wide of Dodd and not by all that much. But there, Spartak Moscow shows how it can go the other way, and all of a sudden one chance.
Well, a more convincing attack here than we've seen by the Soviets. The ball played across, it's touched once, and an early first-time shot driven low. I don't think that Dodd would have gotten there in time had it been on goal. Luckily, it just went inches wide.
A long run for Vermees as this one sails out of play. The wind again picks up here. Soviets will make a substitution. Sakinev is going to come out. He didn't play much today. He came in as a sub at the end of the first half. He's going to go out, and Andrei Ivanov will come in to replace him.
But is Ivanov? Not anymore.
I'll let you get
not
out
anymore.
Of that.
It's not, right?
That's right. They're playing with the new rule.
As of July.
New offside rule.
But if you notice, coming on number 12, Ivanov, he looks to be at least about 6'3", 6'4". And when you're down by a goal, one of the things you do resort to is, especially on set pieces, hang some high balls up into the box and see what happens if you've got a target like him. He's a tower. You see him coming in. He's on the ball now. Look how tall he is. And he's got some foot skills.
I like that line you used. I think I was just too cold to react to it. Here's Ivanov. Well played to Shmarov. Dodd came out. He touched it outside the area. That was close for Mark Dodd and company. If Shmarov had a better chance to get to that, he might have been able to get it by him. So a free kick from outside the area. Direct.
I'm a bit surprised that Dodd doesn't collect a yellow card for that, because it was not accidental. He had his hands up and was ready to cover the ball rather than have it looped over his head.
You could have gotten the benefit of the doubt. It's not that far away from the area.
I thought it actually happened a little bit further out, to tell you the truth, but maybe it was just his momentum that made it appear so.
The wall of 6 against Shmarov. Bends it. Long gone.
Into the mezzanine.
Shmarov would have loved to have had something better than that, to at least force the goalkeeper to make a save and keep that ball in play.
That one almost reached escape velocity and is still going up. Really disappointment in terms of for both teams in their set pieces. Murray had one earlier with the wind at his back that he didn't do well with at all, although the one goal we've seen today did result from a free kick, which was not a shot. It was just a ball that was chipped into the box.
Ball played long, misplayed there by Spartak Moscow. They'll get another chance. Missing it was Ivanov. High kick that time by Spartak Moscow. Play continues as Bliss was bumped. Ryan Bliss will leave it off now for Paul Crumpy to take the next throw-in. Crumpy on the roster of Real Santa Barbara in the APSL's Western Conference. The turn from Vermees. And he was broken up. Taken down by some rough play on the part of the Spartak Moscow defender. Got to give a lot of credit to those people who braved the elements today, Ty. I don't know what the walk-up was today, but you'd figure that the walk-up would be affected because of the weather conditions. And then I would imagine even some people that already had paid for tickets might have said, no, I don't want to sit out in it. But it's been a good audience here in Blaine, Minnesota. Here's Murray. Putting it through well to Vermees. And as he tried, I thought, to play it back to Murray, it was closer to the goalkeeper.
Again, they're looking for each other, though, and they're able to work combinations, even in tight spaces, because when you get near the opponent's goal, obviously there's less space to work with.
Yeah, the way Vermees and Murray are working, it reminds me, this ball almost landed up by our press area. It reminds me of the way Eichmann was working with Murray. Of course, they had the benefit of playing together at Clemson, but these two guys appear to be even more dangerous because of the way Vermees is stronger than Eichmann and can hold on to the ball better. Here's Murray. And that's broken up by Spartak Moscow. Speaking of Eichmann, we've told you earlier, if you missed it, would have played today, but he's been bothered a bit by a groin injury, and there's no sense risking it here in this international exhibition game. Armstrong committing that foul.
And this is against a top European club team. This is not the Soviet Union's national team. This is not their country's all-star team, but it's one of their better club teams. In fact, the club team that won the domestic championship, they won the Soviet League in '89 and are now representing the Soviet Union in the European Champions Cup.
That's where we are. We're freezing to death up here by our monitors. Originally, we were going to be up in the scaffold right this way behind us.
No, thank you.
No chance. Not with the wind. Here's Brian Bliss at midfield. Now to Kinnear. Dominic Kinnear. That was, again, the wind conditions playing a part of that. Good idea, Kinnear looking for Murray on the outside. And I'll tell you, the way the U.S. players have interchanged positions, sometimes you see Murray outside, then he brings it in, and other players, the way they've been able to become interwoven, it's been a big plus to their offensive attack. Coming back on the left side, here comes Spartak Moscow. They're down 1-0. Still plenty of time left here in the second half. Played in and a quick touch, but it won't have the legs as Dodd was out of goal. Robin Fraser help it out, sending it long. Murray, tremendous bumping there before that ball was even close to Murray.
The United States here getting off a little lucky. The ball all the way in behind their defense, nearly flicked over Dodd, going towards the goal. The wind doesn't hurt there. If that ball was headed towards goal, it slowed it up enough for the defense to recover and get it out of there.
How close do you think Dodd was to touching that?
Inches.
I didn't think he was that close at first, but the replay seemed to indicate that he was. Here's Balboa. Deflected straight up. Chasing it down is Hlestov, 13. Blocked by Brian Bliss, Kinnear, and Murray. Crumpy looking. We've got about 8 minutes to go, unofficial time, as another whistle sounds. Just about 8 minutes left here in Blaine. And there'll be some happy players heading into, I presume, a warm dressing room when this is over.
Well, believe it or not, the players are not the ones that are suffering.
It's people like you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If you're out there
moving.
Oh, yeah, they don't have any problem with this. In fact, this makes it easier for you to run a little more because it keeps you cool.
Dyak. Now it's broken up by Spartak Moscow off a deflection. Kinnear may get his own pass, but just a bit too far in front of him. On the left side, Spartak Moscow doing well, coming back with some numbers. They're down 1-0. About 7 minutes and change left here in the second half. Headed up by Bliss, Caprine, and now Crumpy to Bruce Murray. Murray did a good job, but it was knocked out of play by Hlestov. And so the USA will have a throw-in coming up. Come out to a day at the races from Belmont Park on Preview to Post. Horse racing experts Harvey Pack and Jay Randolph review the weekend's action for the site of the Breeders' Cup. Exclusive coverage from Belmont Park begins tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and it will be live here on Sports Channel America. Spartak Moscow clearing it on the left side of the field where it was blocked by Jimmy Banks and it will sail out of play. Have less than 7 minutes to go here from Blaine.
This Soviet team has not played as hard and fast and direct as some Soviet teams I've seen. They do work the ball well, and I think part of it is they are a bit jet lagged. They had a big game on the weekend. They're involved in a lot of other competitions here, so they're not maybe going as strongly and as hard as they might otherwise. I've played against Soviet teams on a couple of occasions, and let me tell you, it's a track meet normally. We've not seen that type of play today. The wind may have something to do with that. They can't play these direct balls at a distance because the wind plays havoc with them. But you know, right now the United States absorbing a lot of pressure.
Smarov looking for this. Armstrong gave it back, and that could have been disaster because Dodd looked like he was retreating, thinking Armstrong was going to go upfield, and instead it was almost the tying goal, or at least a chance for it.
Well, it's a little scary actually when you see a Soviet player in behind all the U.S. defenders with nobody marking him. At this point in the game, if anything, your marking should be that much tighter when you're defending a lead.
Crumpy leaves it off for Murray, tries to go inside. He was broken up. Hlestov makes a nice move there. Spartak Moscow getting it back. Smarov off a deflection. Vermes almost got it. Kaprin switching to the outside. Imrekov with Armstrong chasing him. USA has not substituted. These guys have gone almost the full 90 minutes here. On a good run from the outside, played into the area, cleared out nicely.
Jimmy Banks there to save the day.
The man that was open was Parapadenko, and he would have had at least a chance for the header. And a whistle sounds. Got another foul called.
For Spartak Moscow at the 30.
Bob Gansler shouting instructions to his U.S. team.
Well, I think he's concerned about what I just mentioned, that there are some Soviet players that are moving about with no one really tracking them.
Too much freedom at this stage. Right next to Bob Gansler, Bobby Howe, one of the assistant coaches now, or assistant coach on this particular trip. Bobby coaches the under-20 team. Dominic Kinnear right in front of the USA bench now with some help from Crumpy. Crumpy literally tying up his man as this one goes out of play. Hey, one of the things too, I think one of the reasons why the Soviets have not been as successful today, the U.S. has taken a lot of the play to them, especially in the first half. And if you're suffering from the problems, especially the problems you said before with the jet lag, etc., that makes it even harder. You're not expecting maybe as good competition, and instead the U.S. team is up there fighting as hard, if not harder than you, and getting the better of the results. And a card, I would think, to Peter Vermes. Now, he could not have gotten that first yellow card. Remember we were talking earlier?
Yeah, we thought
he'd be gone. So someone else must have gotten it. We never clarified that, but
no, that was Crumpy.
Crumpy, was it?
Yeah.
That's right, it was Crumpy. Vermes, though, that time getting it. He's been whacked quite a bit today, and he probably said something to Vinnie Morrow about that.
A little bit of verbiage.
It was not the kind of language that the referee wanted to hear, so it's a yellow card. Spartak Moscow needs one to tie it. Coming back on the left side. Good run.
Some nice acceleration there down the left flank.
Especially at this stage of the game. Dyak on the recovery run. Played in, and it's headed out by Armstrong. Up towards Peter Vermes. He's taken down, and he's looking back again.
Well, he bumped early. He's looking for something that probably was not there.
Here's Crumpy to Kinnear.
It's not a bad try, though, by Vermes. He made it look pretty convincing. Vinnie Morrow's seen those type of tactics before, so he didn't buy it.
Played back, and now the U.S. will look towards that ball possession. Great idea on the reversal to Brian Bliss, and again, it's Dyak making the play. Reminding me of Miola. Playing beyond his years was the phrase that they used on Tony Miola. And this one is cleared out of play. USA with a lead of 1-0. They defeated the club team Kiev in Philadelphia, or Dnepr, I'm sorry, not Kiev, Dnepr in Philadelphia, and then lost to the national team 3-1. The score in Philadelphia, as I recall, was a 1-0 game for the U.S. And this would be another victory against another good club team if they can hang on here.
And of course, when it's Soviet opposition, it always brings out a little bit more in terms of the rivalry.
Kinnear almost got to that one as he tried to break through. Popovich, number 15. We have approximately 2.5 minutes to play. That's unofficial time for you. Here in the second half of play, and the USA still holding on to that 1-0 lead on Dyak's goal of the 30th minute of play. Lead pass, not enough on that. cut off. Fraser. Playing it up now to Kinnear. U.S. does well with this. Here's Dyak with some space on the right wing. Troy Dyak. Try to cut it inside. Finds Murray. Murray with some moves, and he's broken up. And now Spartak Moscow taking it away. Cut off by Balboa. Spartak Moscow to midfield. Caprine's pass will find Popovic. Picked up there by Jimmy Banks. And now Vermees. And everyone dropping back and picking someone up for the U.S., including those forwards.
There's some cool under pressure there by the young player Dyak. He stepped forward, he read the play well. He won the tackle despite the heavy pressure from the Soviet opponent.
Played outside now to Paul Crumpy. He's got some room. U.S. in no rush here. They want to make sure that they hold on to the ball. If nothing else, minimize your mistakes, not lose it. And they'll be very happy if the Soviets don't have any more chances to score a goal. Played in now. Vermees. Right across. Nobody joining him. Here's Kinnear. And on the short hop, it is stopped by the goalkeeper. Unofficially, about a half a minute to go here in this game. But the U.S. almost got their second goal. Right now, it's Spartak Moscow with Hlestov, giving it up to Parapadenka at midfield. Parapadenka's pass to Caprine and then right back. Spartak Moscow might be down to their last chance here. Ivanov, who came on as a second half sub. Parapadenka right back to Ivanov. Off his left foot, several bounces, but Dodd is there. Shmarov made a late break for that ball. Should be down to the final seconds. There might be even injury time here. Dodd sending it at least well over midfield and even beyond on the bounce. Bruce Murray holding up. He's by himself for now. Now gets some support. Crosses it in. Just missing was Vermees as it's played back to the goalkeeper. But Murray did well to hold it as long as he could until someone was open. And I tell you, Vermees from here, from our vantage point, just missed by an inch or so. Here comes Spartak Moscow. Time running down.
A lot of space at midfield, though, given to them.
Ball is played now by Caprine. Swung wide to the outside. Spartak Moscow looking for the tying goal in the dying seconds. That's broken up. And that should do it. The end of the game and a big victory for the USA national team. They have defeated Spartak Moscow. Final score is 1-0. They're happy here in Blaine, Minnesota, as the U.S. team wins it. We now pause for a regional break.
Follow the course of the most popular team in college football, Notre Dame football, on the Sports Channel America Network. There's only one place where you can see wall-to-wall coverage of the most celebrated team in the history of college football as they take aim on a national title, Notre Dame football. The Irish battle pit, 10 a.m. Eastern on Sports Channel America, Sunday.
NBC's greatest fights ever can now be yours on home video cassette. Clay Liston, the improbable upset. Ali Foreman, the rumble in the jungle. Ali Frazier, the thriller in Manila. And NBC's compelling greatest rounds ever. To order, call 1-800-238-3100. $24.95 each. Or all four for just $79.95. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Jan and Dean singing one of 40 great hits in Sessions' new album, Hot Rod Classics.
It's late, we gotta get on home. It's late, we've been gone too long.
There she was, just walking down the street singing.
Hot Rod Classics, a new album containing 40 great car radio favorites by the original artists.
Riding along in my automobile, little GTO. Beach baby, give me your hand.
Hot Rod Classics is great for beach parties or just weekend cruising. 4 records or 2 cassette tapes, only $19.95. 2 compact discs, just $24.95. Here's how to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-238-3100. That's 1-800-238-3100. Call now, 1-800-238-3100, or send check or money order to the address on your screen.
Watch some of the best soccer players compete in one of the oldest soccer leagues in the world. Direct from Great Britain, it's English League Soccer. Rugged and exciting action every week. See it exclusively on the Sports Channel America Network.
Hello?
Welcome back, everyone. It's a 1-0 final. U.S. did well to get a victory today, Ty, against Spartak Moscow.
A convincing win against a top European club that's participating right now in the European Champions Cup. And some good organized play by the United States. A goal from one of their youngest players, Troy Dyack, was the difference.
Once again, your final score, the USA 1, Spartak Moscow 0. Tonight, there's exciting National Hockey League action on tap. You see the Chicago Blackhawks challenge the Boston Bruins at 7 Eastern, or some of you will see the Pittsburgh Penguins against the New Jersey Devils at 7:30 Eastern. The thrills of NHL hockey here tonight on Sports Channel America. For Ty Keogh, I'm John Paul Della Camera. We say goodbye from Blaine, Minnesota, where you've been watching international soccer on Sports Channel America.
Of Fame, brought to you by Hall's cough suppressant tablets with mentholyptus to soothe a sore throat and stop a cough. The Halls of Medicine. And by Sugar Daddy, the flavor lasts a lifetime.
Come, enter the Halls of Medicine. Bring your sore and scratchy throat. Bring your cough. Bring your nose when it feels stuffy. Because the Halls of Medicine are Hall's Vapor Action Cough Suppressant Tablets. They quickly soothe your throat, quiet your cough, and make your nose feel clearer. Hall's Vapor Action Cough Suppressant Tablets. Come to the Halls of Medicine to feel better fast.
Introducing new extra-strength Rolaids, 250 milligrams stronger than Tums EX, 1,000 milligrams of fast relief. This settles it, once and for all.
It's not simply a game. It's an era of fitness, health, muscle development, body toning, beauty, and power. It's the era of Solovex. Become a part of it. Call anytime for a free brochure.
In 1972, Lawrence Berra was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum following a career that spanned 18 years and included 14 World Series appearances. Hello, everybody. I'm Fran Healy, and welcome to the Halls of Fame. During the next half hour, we'll take a look at the life of one of the most talked about characters in all of baseball, Yogi Berra. We'll start with something called cardball during his childhood in St. Louis. Yogi, tell us about your childhood growing up on the hill in St. Louis.
Well, everybody knows I grew up with Gargioli. You know, we played ball together. You know, we didn't only play baseball, man. We played soccer, football, softball, cardball, what we call cardball.
What was
you know.
cardball?
Well, it's something like Stilly said. It's a little round ball. You one strike, you're out. You know, if the catcher catches it and you swing at it and miss, you're out. You had to get four hits to get a run. And we had leagues like that, too. And the softball, I used to play softball in the morning, play baseball in the afternoon.
Yogi, how did you get involved in sports? Was it your father? Was it a brother? Or?
Oh, no, my dad didn't know first thing about baseball, Fran. We got the heck beat out. We couldn't with dirty shoes or some torn pants. My brothers loved it. They know my older brother. If you ask anybody on the hill in St. Louis, he was the best ball player on the hill with my oldest brother, my brother Lefty.
Did he play pro ball?
No, my dad wouldn't let him go, you know. And I had my brother Mike and my brother John. They all could have gone away and played. My dad wouldn't let them go. And they said, well, we all got a job. Let Lawrence go. You know, they called me Lawrence instead of Lawrence then. And give him a chance to play. And he said, okay, let him go. And that's how I loved the game of baseball. I loved it, you know, playing. And I started, well, we had a club called the Stags AC. We used to form leagues up on the hill. We had a lot of clubs up there. We used to play the Fawns, the Wildcats, the Stags, and we formed our own league at 14 years old. Then I got into American Legion ball when I was 15. I think that really helped me playing American Legion ball. I played till 15 and 16, then 17 I went to play with Norfolk.
And all the time you were playing baseball, you did play other sports?
Oh yeah, once baseball season over, whatever was in season, we played football, soccer, basketball I wasn't too big for.
Were you a good athlete other than baseball?
Well, I thought I was, you know, and the thing I tried, I boxed, I did everything.
Geez, that's wild. Now, Yogi, as far as coming out of amateur ball, you were very young when you decided to stop playing amateur ball and go into professional ball, or did you go into service first?
No, I went to play professional ball when I was 17.
Now, there's a story that goes around that Joe Graggiola signed at a very young age. Yeah. And when you signed, did you want more money than Joe?
No, I wanted the same thing Joe got, and they wouldn't give it to me. And I think a lot of people heard this story before. That's when Branch Rickey was over at the St. Louis Cardinals, and he knew he was going to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he called me over. He said, son, you'll never be a big league